Gage. Thanks for tuning into My Classic Car, home of the certified car nut. Well, this week we're in Watkins Glen, New York for the Zippo U.S. Vintage Grand Prix put on by the SVRA. Now, historic racing is an absolute blast, and you'll see everything here from MG midgets to F1 cars. But they all share one thing in common. They're all here to race. Hey Carl, how you doing, man?
Very well.
Man, you got a lot going on today here.
Oh yeah, a lot of cars.
This is really a cool event. It's the Zippo U.S. Vintage Grand Prix, right?
Correct.
Here
Yes.
at Watkins Glen.
Right.
Well, how long have you been doing this event?
This one's gone on for about 18 years.
Man, and you're drawing cars from everywhere, right?
All around the country and some from Europe too.
And quite a broad range of cars. I mean, you've got what, 10 classes?
10 different groups, everything from the pre-war Bugattis up to GT1 Camaros and GTP cars.
So what's the allure of vintage racing? I mean, it's just, it's a disease, I think. I mean, people get it and they're hooked. What is it?
Well, a lot of it, Dennis, is people that wanted to do this back when they were younger with these cars, and now they can afford to do it, and that brings a lot of them out to do it.
And they're bringing out some pretty pricey cars.
Oh yes, which is why we like them not to run into each other.
And I bet they like that too, actually.
Oh yes.
But I mean, I'm seeing Lister Jags. I'm seeing Can-Am cars.
Right. Almost every possible race car that ran from pre-war up until 10 years ago would be here. That's the great thing about Watkins Glen. This is a historic track where they ran F1, and we have some of those very cars here this weekend too. And they ran Formula 5000. I mean, everything that raced here at Watkins Glen.
I guess before there was the track, there was still a race.
They raced through the streets. It started in downtown Watkins Glen, 6 miles, and that's what we do with the cars. We take 125 cars downtown, and with a police escort, we do the old racetrack.
Wow. I mean, that's got to be a hit.
Oh, it's very popular.
And this must bring people, just into the Watkins Glen area, people just to come to see this.
Oh, when you go downtown, there's something like 10,000 spectators downtown just to watch the cars in the reenactment.
And to have these fabulous cars, and I've seen stuff that I remember from my youth.
There's some very significant, very expensive cars, all the way down to the fellow with the Formula V on the trailer that he hauls here in his Suburban.
So everybody gets to play.
Everybody gets to play. It's the same track, same amount of track time.
And they're just about ready to take off. What do you say? Go check out turn 1. That's always exciting.
Great.
All right, let's go. Welcome back to My Classic Car. So Sandy, Bugatti is the feature mark this weekend. Bugatti and BMW, right?
Yes.
And this is one of the oldest, most correct vintage Bugattis here.
It's one of the earliest, it is the earliest racing car here, I believe.
So
yes.
This is a 1925, right?
1925, Type 35.
Where did you find it and what kind of condition was it in?
It was in Massachusetts. It was all in pieces. Quite literally everything taken apart.
Wow.
And
One of those, I'm going to restore it, right?
Yes.
And they never did.
He never did. I'd done a Bugatti earlier, so I figured, well, I can do this one too. And it turned out to be much more of a project than I anticipated.
Well, I love the early technology, the 20s technology, where people hadn't been told you can't do that, it won't work. And it was all about keeping it light, right?
It was keeping it light and keeping the artistry in it. Bugatti was a family of artists, and he was a mechanical artist.
Well, your interiors, certainly all business, all Bugatti. And it's looks like a plumber's nightmare in there. I mean, there's tubes and pipes, and what is all that?
Well, first off, of course, it's a race car, so everything is out in the open. But secondly, the fuel pressure is provided by compressed air in the fuel tank.
And then the wheels, these look like...
The wheels are historic because these are the first cast alloy wheels ever made.
Wow.
They have an integral brake drum. There's a cast iron brake drum built into the wheel.
Okay, so what's powering this baby?
This version has 2 carburetors. They're Solex side draft carburetors.
Now this is 2 liters and 8 cylinders.
Yes.
I mean, that piston can't be very big.
It's a 60 millimeter bore and 88 millimeter stroke.
Wow.
Bugattis were never the most powerful car, but they were by far the lightest, and they were the easiest to drive.
So it
And
wouldn't
they
beat
would
you up.
win race, not by overpowering the other cars, but by outlasting them. And by
Both car and driver, right?
Yes.
So you've had this out. Have you done laps so far this weekend?
I've done about 35 laps so far this weekend.
And is this thing
Yes.
just like, I mean, is this a dream? I mean,
It's a
like
great car. I mean, it sets up and drifts just beautifully. I mean, you get into a corner, well before the apex, you just floor it. And just hang onto the steering wheel and just steer it with the accelerator. It's amazing.
Wow. Well, Sandy, this is beautiful, and I love. I mean, this thing means business, and it looks right. I love it, man.
It's a real Grand Prix car.
It is a real Grand Prix car. So, Ron, this is probably the prettiest car here. I mean, this is almost too nice to race, isn't it?
Well, everybody tells me that, Dennis, but I like
You
to race
gotta do
cars,
it.
so I gotta race it.
58 Corvette, and this has got some race history to it, right?
It does, Dennis. This car was raced in California in the early days, so it was a California car, and it's raced, as you see it, pretty in the configuration that you see it, pretty much the way it was.
Well, it's pretty stock. I mean, really, it's a pretty stock car, isn't it?
It probably could have, and it might not have had a roll bar. At certain periods, they didn't do them. Then they did roll bars. It's funny. Everybody says, "Aren't you going to put a race seat in and a smaller steering wheel?" And I tell everybody, "No, I want it just the way they raced it. Get that feel." And we really have to muscle this thing.
Oh, I bet you do. A solid axle
Look
car.
how big that wheel is.
Yeah. Gorgeous 58. I mean, even you've still got the chrome spears.
From
the 1 year only chrome spears, right?
This was a 58, and 58 was the only year for these two items was the spheres in the back. And if you look at the hood up in front,
the louvered hood?
That was a louvered hood, and they actually call that a washboard hood because it looked like a washboard.
Plus, they're not open. They're just
exactly.
It
They're
really
fake.
is. It really is a
they're
lot
fake,
of washboard.
yeah.
Has it been modified to a fuel cell and everything now?
Yeah, Dennis. Let me show you in the trunk here. We've got a fuel cell here. This is where the spare tire used to be. So the fuel cell's here. We put our battery here, and there's your fuel pump right over there. So everything is just so stock.
Yeah. Well, now, and same with the engine. This would have been a 283, I guess?
Exactly, a 283 with a 4-barrel. Let me show you.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. That's exactly what it looked like.
Exactly the same way, the alternator, everything. Fan on there, just the way they would have raced it in the early days.
Well, she is absolutely beautiful. And have you had it out on the track this weekend?
I did, Dennis. I've had it out twice already, and it's just running great, fabulous.
About as much fun as you can have with your clothes on?
You got it. You got it.
Even a bad day at the track is better than a good day at work. Absolutely.
You got it, Dennis.
Well, I tell you what, take care of this, baby. Don't scratch it in the race, okay?
Okay, Dennis.
Well,
Thanks.
thanks a lot, man.
Pleasure. Thanks for
Beautiful
interviewing.
car.
Thank you, buddy.
Welcome back to My Classic Car. Well, Brian, this is a yellow machine here, and this is a what? It's a '66 Alfa Romeo GTV.
Correct.
Now, this is a car that anybody could go vintage racing in, right? I mean, this is an affordable vintage race car.
It's definitely an affordable vintage race car. It's a competitive car, and it's a car that raced a lot in the day, in a Trans Am series and all the way through its life. So
These actually ran Trans Am?
these ran Trans Am. In fact, they won the first Trans Am series.
Wow.
In 1966, Alfa Romeo won the Trans Am series against everything.
How about that?
This one didn't, but
But one
did.
like it.
One just like it. And when you have one of these, you have to get to the bare necessities. Certainly a good cage, gauges that are functional, mirrors, good seat and belts.
Now, what's the piping? I mean, what's this
Well,
deal?
part of you have to be comfortable eventually too. And I'm an old guy, so we bring air in here. We run the air through our ice chest and a fan.
So that's an ice. I mean, it looks like an ice chest.
It is
an ice chest.
Yep. It runs out of the fan into my helmet, keeps the sweat out of my eyes. And then the other side of it is there's water in there with it. And we run the water through a pump, and it pumps through a shirt with tubes in it, or a cool shirt, and keeps you cool. Makes you much more comfortable.
That's like racing in comfort.
Well, it's actually a safety thing too.
Well,
Your
that's
core
true.
stays cool, and
Yeah.
us old guys don't have heart attacks.
That's important.
When you do
That
that's
is
important. That's very important.
Well, now, what powers the GTV?
Well, the GTV, the rules say it has to be powered by the regular motor. So it's
Okay.
an Alpha motor.
Just lift off here, I guess?
It lift right off. Here, we can set that down.
Fiberglass, that's nice.
Yep, nice and light. Double overhead cam, 4-cylinder, 2 Weber carburetors, headers,
And it's what, you say a 2-liter?
2-liter.
Uh-huh.
And, high compression makes about almost 200 horsepower. The car weighs about 2,000 pounds.
So it is fast.
And even though it's 40 years old, it's still a good race car.
So you like vintage racing?
You have fun, you make a lot of noise. I say when I'm in the car, my hair grows back, I get taller. As soon as I shut it off, it's back to what you see.
I hate it when it happens.
Yeah, well,
and this track in particular, Watkins Glen?
this is a fabulous racetrack. I mean, it's beautiful countryside. The people are great. The track is unbelievably challenging. It's fast.
Well, I tell you, you got a cool car here, Ryan, I thank you for bringing it out.
Thank you for
You're
taking
racing
the time.
tomorrow, right?
Racing tomorrow, and
Go get them.
we'll go get them.
All right.
Thank you.
Welcome back to My Classic Car. Well, Brian, this is a very bright car. I mean, man, this baby is, you got to find the right place to stand here.
Right.
This is really cool. This is a, what, a 56 Lotus 11?
Yes.
Okay.
56.
And what a cool car. Now, for 1956, this thing looks like it had just landed or something. I mean, this looks like sci-fi, Buck Rogers.
Rocket ship, yeah.
Yeah, ray gun.
Well, I mean, it's called the Silver Bullet, you know.
Is that right?
That's the nickname everybody has for it. And it looks like it because it's just, yeah, it's so sleek and streamlined that...
It is, and actually quite stubby, you know. It's not a very long car. And the way these babies, you know,
yeah, I mean,
bump up there.
through the air, you know, on a windy day or something, you don't feel the buffeting or
At all. It just slides
goes right
over
through the wind.
And so what powers this baby?
This is a Coventry Climax FWB 1500cc engine.
Okay.
It's probably 130, 140 horsepower.
And
in
the
that
car
range.
would weigh about...
Car weighs 1,000 pounds.
Oh, it's a rocket.
So-
It is a rocket ship.
Power to weight ratio is great.
Well, close her back up. This is just
Okay.
such a great looking body style. She's beautiful, she's shiny, and I'm sure she'll be thundering down the track real soon.
Yep, you bet it will.
Thanks a lot,
All
Brian.
right, thanks, Dennis.
Go 42. Well, Doug, this is a Devin. I don't know too much about these, but they were built by an independent guy, right? Bill Devin.
Bill Devin, exactly.
Out where?
In California area.
California.
You know, in that era, the 50s era, the hot rod cars and everything. Well, Bill was building sports cars, and he wanted something to compete with the design and the style of the great European cars. So he designed. There was almost, I think there was 24 different configurations that would fit on everything from Porsche, Corvair, all the way up to solid axle Corvette, and this one here, a 56 Chevy chassis,
Wait. The frame, this underneath this skin here is a 56 Chevy chassis?
an old passenger car.
Okay. That's amazing. I guess that's innovative. And I mean, could he run against cars like, you know, like Ferraris and stuff like that?
They could in a straight line. You'd see these take off, and they'd be leading the pack, and they'd come to the corner, and then he'd be braking, and they'd be driving by. But they were out there for a long time because these small block Chevrolets ran and ran and ran.
Well, they're bulletproof, you know?
Right, and they weren't as finicky as some of the great Italian cars.
Now, is it a aluminum car or is it?
This is a fiberglass car.
Okay.
Yep, that's all his bodies were fiberglass. That's what made them so inexpensive.
Well, how much was a body?
$300-400.
You're kidding me.
Yeah, and so yeah, it made it competitive for everybody to go out and go racing.
So, I mean, how does she drive? I mean, is this a handful?
You do some seesawing out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, now,
Exactly.
so under the hood, what's powering this baby? Can we
This
take
is a small block Chevy, sure.
I'll go around and help you. All right.
You can still see all the passenger car stuff underneath.
Well,
the
that
A-frame.
is a 56 Chevy
Yep.
frame.
We've added some reinforcements just because they're a little bit flexible. And for safety, they've started to let us run the disc brakes now.
Which makes
Yeah,
good sense.
We're still confined by the small tires,
Yeah.
but we have some brakes anyway.
Now you got track time here in just a few minutes. And,
Yeah.
and who do you run against when you're out there?
There's a Chaparral out there. There's Lolas, Lotuses, Listers,
Man.
Costins.
Are you in today's races? Are you fairly competitive still?
Yeah, we do pretty well out there. We've won a few.
That's great, man. That's amazing. What a 56 Chevy chassis.
Yeah, I know.
couldn't believe it. And it is one wide baby, I tell you. Well, Doug, this is great. I love these oddball cars, and this is definitely one of them. This is American ingenuity at its finest.
That's great. Thank you very much for coming by.
Run fast, run safe, man.
All right.
Oh man, I love vintage racing, and Watkins Glen has got to be one of the coolest historic tracks in the country. If you want to see good vintage action, check out some of these SVRA vintage races. You can't go wrong.